1. Anchorage Homeless Ordinance 2025, Jail and Fines for Illegal Camps Explained. 2. Anchorage Homelessness Debate, Balancing Compassion and Public Safety. 3. Anchorage Mayor proposes criminalizing homeless camping near schools and trails. New Ordinance 2025. 4. Anchorage's War on the Homeless, Criminalizing Sleep. 5. Anchorage Camping Ban Update, What You Need to Know Before the Second Public Hearing. 1. Anchorage Homeless Ordinance 2025, Jail and Fines for Illegal Camps Explained. The issue of illegal homeless encampments in Anchorage has reached a boiling point, sparking intense debate over how the city should respond. On July 11th, residents will once again have the opportunity to voice their opinions to the Anchorage Assembly regarding a proposed ordinance that could impose serious penalties, up to 6 months in jail and fines as high as $2,000, on those who set up unauthorized camps throughout the city. Last month, a lengthy and often passionate public hearing revealed the deep frustrations of many Anchorage residents. They described how these encampments have led to widespread problems, including trash accumulation, public defecation, vandalism, and the misuse of parks and public facilities as makeshift bathrooms. What were once cherished recreational spaces have, in some cases, been overtaken by sprawling camps that some say have become hotspots for crime and disorder. The upcoming meeting is scheduled for July 11th, from 1 to 4 p.m., and will be held in the Assembly Chambers at the Lusac Library. For those unable to attend in person, the session will be available via live stream, ensuring everyone has a chance to follow the discussion. This proposed ordinance, championed by Assembly members Keith McCormick, Scott Myers, and Jerry Goker, aims to tackle what they describe as extensive unauthorized encampments that endanger public health, safety, and the quiet enjoyment of public places. Currently, Anchorage's legal options are limited to simply removing these camps, without any ability to impose jail time or fines on those responsible. If passed, the ordinance would classify illegal camping as a Class B misdemeanor. This classification carries penalties of up to 6 months in jail and fines reaching $2,000. This marks a significant shift in how the city could enforce regulations against unauthorized encampments, potentially deterring future violations through stricter consequences. Here's where it gets controversial. Some argue that criminalizing homelessness could further marginalize vulnerable populations without addressing the root causes of homelessness itself. Others believe that stronger enforcement is necessary to protect public spaces and community well-being. What do you think? Is this ordinance a step toward restoring order, or does it risk punishing people who need help the most? For those interested in participating, the July 11th Anchorage Assembly meeting begins at 1 p.m. in the Assembly Chambers at the Lusac Library. The public can submit written comments online at www.muni.org/testimony. Additionally, individuals may provide testimony in person or by phone. To speak over the phone, you must sign up online by 5 p.m. on July 10th at https://alaskawatchman.com/contact/. There is no need to sign up for in-person testimony. The chair will call on speakers in the order they arrive. To review the agenda for the June 24th Anchorage Assembly meeting, click here. https://alaskawatchman.com/wp-content/uploads/2025/07/anchorage-assembly-july-11/agenda.pdf. If you find this information valuable and want to support independent reporting, consider contributing to the Alaska Watchman here. https://alaskawatchman.com/donate. What's your take on this proposed ordinance? Should Anchorage take a tougher stance on illegal camps, or should the focus be on providing more resources and support for those experiencing homelessness? Share your thoughts and join the conversation below. 2. Anchorage homelessness debate, balancing compassion and public safety. Letter: a compassionate approach to addressing homelessness and ensuring public safety. As a newly elected member of the Anchorage Assembly, I have been deeply moved by the stories and struggles shared with me by many community members regarding the issue of homelessness in our city. These discussions are challenging and should be, as they touch on the lives of vulnerable individuals. However, it is our responsibility to engage in these conversations with honesty, compassion, and to establish reasonable limits that safeguard everyone involved. I cannot support the initial camping ordinance AO 2025-74, which aimed to criminalize homelessness throughout the municipality. In my opinion, such a sweeping policy would likely inflict more harm than benefit. Instead, I am proud to co-sponsor the S2 version of this ordinance, which presents a more nuanced and balanced strategy. This version prioritizes public safety while ensuring that our unhoused neighbors are treated with respect. Specifically, the S2 version prohibits camping in locations where public safety is at risk, such as near schools, playgrounds, and along hazardous roadways where individuals without homes could be endangered by passing vehicles. I understand the frustration many feel regarding the insufficient enforcement of current laws. However, I believe that enforcement alone is not the solution. We cannot afford to wait until someone is injured, or worse, before we take action. It is also important to recognize that not everyone is willing to accept the services offered to them. For instance, during the abatement process at Davis Park, over 50 individuals sought shelter or entered treatment programs, with 27 of them doing so on the very day of the abatement. Yet, more than 100 others chose to decline assistance, with some even resorting to setting fires in protest. I have visited encampments and spoken with individuals who express a preference for the freedom that comes with living outdoors. This raises a difficult question. How do we progress as a community when some individuals refuse the services available to them? And what boundaries are we prepared to establish? For me, there is a clear boundary. Our children should not have to navigate around needles on their way to the playground, be subjected to unpredictable or aggressive behavior in parks, or walk past tents where individuals are evidently experiencing medical or mental health crises. We have a responsibility to maintain the safety of public spaces while also investing in services that can help individuals transition from crisis to stability with dignity, compassion, and a focus on sustainable solutions. Tackling homelessness is an incredibly intricate issue, and I do not claim to have all the answers. Nevertheless, I firmly believe that the S2 version of this ordinance represents a positive step forward, providing us with a means to protect sensitive areas without criminalizing poverty. Public safety must be inclusive and beneficial for everyone. I encourage you to share your thoughts, concerns, or ideas. It will require all of us to remain engaged, compassionate, and solution-oriented to advance Anchorage in a manner that respects our shared humanity and our collective need for safe, accessible public spaces. Yarrow Silvers, Anchorage Assembly, East Anchorage. Do you have something to say? Feel free to reach out to letters@adn.com or click here to submit your thoughts via any web browser. Please include your contact information. Letters that are under 200 words are more likely to be published. Writers should disclose any personal or professional connections to the subjects of their letters. All letters are edited for accuracy, clarity, and length. If you reference statistics or published sources, please include citations or links. For more information, read our full opinion guidelines. 3. Anchorage Mayor proposes criminalizing homeless camping near schools and trails. New Ordinance 2025. A bold proposal from Anchorage Mayor Suzanne LaFrance has sparked a heated debate. The mayor wants to take a stand against homelessness by criminalizing camping in certain areas, including near schools, trails, and playgrounds. But is this the right approach? The proposal, crafted with the help of Municipal Attorney Eva Gardner, aims to send a strong message and deter people from engaging in such conduct. Gardner emphasizes that the goal is not mass arrests, but rather a clear signal about what is considered inappropriate behavior. Assembly members Zach Johnson, Yarrow Silvers, and Daniel Volland have thrown their support behind the mayor's initiative. However, the Assembly is also considering a more controversial and sweeping proposal from member Keith McCormick, which would criminalize all camping. Currently, while camping in public spaces is against city code, it is not a criminal offense. The city employs a process called abatement to clear out encampments, which typically takes around 10 days. Gardner argues that empowering Anchorage Police Department officers to disperse camps would be more efficient and resource-friendly. Thea Agnew-Bembin, a special assistant to the mayor, highlights the potential dangers of allowing encampments to persist. She believes that early intervention by APD could prevent situations from escalating and reduce the need for costly removals. The mayor's proposal specifically targets camping on streets, sidewalks, railroad tracks, and bridges, as well as within 200 feet of major trail systems like the Coastal Trail or Campbell Creek Trail. It also extends to areas within 500 feet of schools, playgrounds, childcare centers, and homeless shelters. Additionally, the proposal criminalizes the construction of hard-walled, hard-roofed, or hard-floored structures on public land. These offenses would be classified as a mix of Class A and Class B misdemeanors. In Anchorage, the maximum penalty for a Class A misdemeanor is 1 year in jail and a $10,000 fine. However, the municipal prosecution has adopted a policy that makes all categories of offenses eligible for therapeutic courts, offering treatment plans as an alternative to jail. The public is invited to share their thoughts on the mayor's proposal at the Assembly's special meeting on Friday, which will take place in the Lusac Library Assembly Chamber starting at 1 p.m. In late June, the Assembly held a public hearing on McCormick's proposed blanket criminalization of homeless camping. More than 60 people testified, with a majority expressing opposition to the idea. So, is criminalizing homeless camping the solution? Or is there a better way to address this complex issue? Join the discussion and share your thoughts in the comments. 4. Anchorage's War on the Homeless, criminalizing sleep. Let's face it, making it illegal for someone to sleep in public spaces doesn't strike at the root of Anchorage's homelessness crisis. Instead, it sidesteps the real issues while pushing vulnerable individuals further into the margins of society. If you've ever wondered whether compassion has a place in policymaking, this is where things get both deeply personal and undeniably urgent. As faith leaders and members of the United Methodist tradition serving in Anchorage, we hold steadfast to the belief that every human being, whether housed or unhoused, deserves to be treated with dignity and care. Sleep is one of the most fundamental human needs, as essential as food or water. So why are we punishing people for something as basic as resting their bodies? Criminalizing sleeping in public spaces does nothing to address the underlying causes of homelessness. Instead, it penalizes individuals simply for existing without shelter. Our spiritual values call us to seek solutions rooted in empathy and practicality. That's why we stand firmly against AO 2025-74 and AO 2025-74's proposed ordinances that would ban camping or sleeping in public areas like parks and sidewalks under certain conditions. These measures aren't just ineffective, they're downright cruel. By focusing on enforcement rather than assistance, they risk funneling people into the criminal justice system rather than offering them pathways out of homelessness. Imagine being arrested not because you committed a crime, but because you had nowhere safe to lay your head at night. Is that the kind of community we want to build? Instead of doubling down on punitive policies, we urge local leaders, the Anchorage Assembly, Mayor LaFrance, and other decision-makers, to prioritize meaningful solutions to the housing shortage. For example, investing in transitional housing programs and designated camping sites could provide immediate relief to those without stable shelter. Additionally, supporting rezoning efforts through initiatives like the Transit Supportive Development Overlay could pave the way for more mixed-use developments, improving access to transportation and affordable living options. Homelessness is fundamentally a housing problem, and reducing barriers to constructing affordable homes should be a top priority. Think about it. Hard-working families scraping by paycheck to paycheck can't keep up with skyrocketing rents. College students juggling classes and jobs often find themselves priced out of the rental market. Even seniors relying on fixed incomes or government vouchers struggle to afford housing. Should these groups face imprisonment simply because they lack the means to secure a roof over their heads? Surely, Anchorage residents have more compassion than that. Consider the timeless parable of the Good Samaritan from the Bible, Luke 10 verses 25 to 37. In this story, a man is left beaten and abandoned on the side of the road. We don't know his backstory, whether he tried repeatedly to get back on his feet, held a job, cared for a family, or possessed a voucher for housing assistance. What we do know is that several passers-by ignore him entirely, crossing to the opposite side of the street to avoid confrontation. But then comes the Samaritan, who stops to help. He tends to the man's wounds, takes him to safety, and ensures his well-being. When asked who acted as a neighbor, Jesus responds, "The one who showed him mercy." If you're reading this today, chances are someone has extended mercy to you at some point in your life. Perhaps it was a second chance, a helping hand, or even a simple act of kindness during a tough time. Let's channel that same spirit of mercy toward those experiencing homelessness. Each person carries a unique story, each is trying their best to survive, and each deserves another opportunity, not judgment or punishment. Anchorage is home to brilliant minds, innovative thinkers, and compassionate hearts capable of tackling the housing crisis head-on. If seeing people sleeping on the streets makes us uncomfortable or fearful, let's channel those emotions into action. Let's transform our collective mindset to embrace empathy and focus on creating sustainable solutions that empower rather than alienate. This starts with ensuring everyone has access to stable housing and safe, legal places to sleep. Mayor LaFrance, members of the Anchorage Assembly, and fellow residents, we have the tools. Now, let's muster the courage and compassion to solve this together. And here's the part most people miss. Solving homelessness isn't just about housing, it's about restoring humanity. It's about recognizing that behind every statistic is a person yearning for connection, safety, and hope. Do you agree? Disagree? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. After all, change begins with conversation, and maybe, just maybe, Anchorage can lead the way in reimagining how cities approach homelessness. 5. Anchorage Camping Ban Update. What you need to know before the second public hearing. Anchorage's controversial camping ban moves closer to reality as second public hearing looms. The Anchorage Assembly is pushing ahead with a proposed ban on camping on certain public lands, sparking heated debate. Introduced weeks ago, the Ordinance, AO 2025-74, has undergone revisions based on public feedback. A recent work session discussed a new S2 version from Mayor Suzanne LaFrance's administration, aiming to balance safety and compassion. We believe this ordinance is the next step we need to take, LaFrance stated. We must move faster to prevent camps in high-risk areas. Changes include increased distances from roads, 200 feet instead of 100, and cap fines of $500 rather than $10,000. Camping is defined as overnight sleeping or setting up temporary living quarters. LaFrance described the approach as balanced and targeted, focusing on intervention over incarceration. We can't arrest our way out of homelessness. However, some argue the ban is too harsh. It's essentially a death march, said concerned citizen Jamie Lopez, pushing people to the point of collapse, exhaustion, or death. What do you think? Is this ban a necessary step for public safety or an inhumane measure targeting the homeless? Voice your opinion in the comments as the debate rages on.